Hi, I'm Sydney, and I'm sitting here with Howard Dvorkin, our chairman and CPA here at Debt.com, and we are going to get some of his hot takes on today's topics. One of those topics being our new administration.
You had to go there, Sydney.
I have to.
You know what? I don't want to get political, but I will. Listen, I see a lot of great things happening for this country for the next 4 years and hopefully in the future. The amount of money that it costs the average American to live increased substantially. The one thing that I am fearful of, nobody talks about the debt. The national debt is $36 trillion. Our gross domestic product, which means all the money that is paid for goods and services, if you add it up, is about $28 trillion. So our gross domestic product is less than the amount we owe, which is incredible. The debt is a problem in this country, and nobody is addressing it because they don't know how to.
Right.
And frankly, I don't know how to. But I do know that if America stops wasting money, if this country stops programs that don't impact anything and make people actually show up at work that work for the government and do something, I think this country will be far better off financially. And by the way, this is not anything new. We have been in bad shape for decades.
Right.
And the challenge is drawing the line and saying, what are we going to do about this? I believe the cost of government has to come down, but it's a hard balance when a lot of the expenditures are for Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid and things like this to help people that really can't help themselves. Mm-hmm. That's a big portion of our budget. The other thing is it's easy. Just raise taxes. Well, no, it's not so easy.
It's not so simple.
Well, let's face it. Half the people in this country don't pay any taxes. Zero. In fact, if they have a good accountant or a tax preparer, they can actually get money back that they didn't even pay. But then that relies on the other half of the country picking up the tab.
Right.
And there's just not enough people to do that. Margaret Thatcher said, socialism is a great idea, and it is, until you run out of people to pay for it. And there's not a lot of people that can pay for this. So you have to figure out, instead of raising money by taxing people, we need to reduce the cost of government. And by the way, if you look at Donald Trump's history, he's a spender. Mm-hmm. He's had a checkered past with financial stability. And I'm not saying about he's a bad guy. I'm just saying
stating the facts.
He's been a roller coaster. And most real estate developers, they get ahead of them, they get ahead of their skis, and sometimes they fall down.
Right.
And then they pick themselves up and reinvent themselves. And certainly he's been very good at doing that. But he does understand debt and taxes. Probably the most knowledgeable president in my history, and from what I've seen, of the tax law, because he's been paying taxes. Well, let's hope he's been paying taxes.
So with the changes that are inevitable with the upcoming tax policies, how should the American people prepare for these changes?
They need to take inventory again of what they are, where they are financially, and they need to go through and plan for the future, for a bright future, and set goals. If you have no plan, then you're going to plan to fail.
Right.
So figure out, not the next week, the next month, even the next year. Figure out where they want to be in 5 years. What is your goal? How long do you want to work for? And how am I going to get there?
Mm-hmm.
And how much am I putting away in retirement funds? Which is a little bit scary to people, but retirement comes on pretty quickly. And after you go through, you buy a house, you have kids, and all of a sudden, 18 years, 20 years later, the kids are out of the house. Sometimes they never leave, but the kids are out of the house. What's the next step? Your retirement. But
Right.
you may be in your 50s by that time happens, and you may only want to work till you're 65. Well, that's only 15 years to save up enough time, to save up enough money in order to retire. People nowadays are retiring with a mortgage, with credit card debt, with very little in savings, expecting Social Security to pay everything. That's not the case. It's just not the case. You have to go through and do your homework.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Americans are living longer, thank God, and they're going to need more money. The retirement age would likely increase, and it may increase from 65 to 70, which isn't very good news for a lot of people, but frankly, people are living longer, they can work longer, and the challenge that I see is that people need to make sure that if they do choose to retire, they don't retire with debt.